Hi, my name is Andy Gross from the Law Office of Andrew P. Gross, and we do veterans disability benefits across the country and personal injury matters and estate planning right here in Maryland and Washington, D.C. Today I want to talk a little bit about a phenomenon that occurs in VA disability law and how a lot of our appeals come to be. Now, a lot of veterans will come to us and say, hey, we've submitted this Nexus letter and they're sending us to another VA medical exam. Why do they keep doing this to us? They have all the information they need. And that's actually kind of a complicated question, but I can back up. Let's talk about some fundamentals first. So sometimes veterans will supply what's called a Nexus letter of their own, which is a statement from a doctor explaining how a certain condition is service connected, or in other words, related to their service. And it ties the current disability back to something that happens back when they were on active duty. Now, they'll submit this Nexus letter, but then the VA will go ahead and send them to an additional medical exam. And they go, well, why are they doing this? And it's important to note that these VA medical exams, also known as claim and pension exams, serve two purposes. The first one is to determine the severity of the disability. How bad is it? So that the VA can assign a disability rating to it. And the second purpose is to determine whether or not the condition is actually service connected, meaning again, whether it is directly, secondarily, or presumptively linked to a veteran's time on active duty. Now, sometimes the nexus will be clear or the service connection will be clear, and it really doesn't need a medical exam, but the VA will send anyway. And this happens from time to time. Sometimes the veteran will actually submit a letter from their doctor, and this is that Nexus letter I was talking about, or perhaps they've gone out and received an independent medical opinion from a third-party doctor that draws the service connection for them. And it is now just up to the VA to determine how bad the condition is so that they can assign the proper disability rating to it. Sometimes, though, the VA will very curiously ask, well, is it service connected? And they'll ask the doctor that they're sending the vet to also render an opinion on service connection, even though that condition's already been service connected by that independent medical exam. And this can happen for a couple reasons. The first is what we commonly call developing to deny. And as I mentioned earlier, this is what this video is about, developing to deny. And that is where the VA will go out and intentionally develop negative evidence in order to deny a veteran a condition. How often does this happen? Well, it's hard to tell. But we do know that the VA does send people out for a lot of unnecessary medical exams. And that's because there are structural problems within the VA that result in the employees who are working the cases to just go ahead and send the medical records and send the veteran out for an exam, even though they haven't done a close review of the file and they might realize one's not necessary. So that can be sometimes a more benign or innocent reason. But that second reason, where perhaps the VA just doesn't believe the exam or they want to get negative evidence, well, that's improper. And the way that the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims has said we do this analysis by looking at it and goes, hey, is there anything in the file that is really unanswered? They're not asking the VA, do you not like the answer? But if the answer is there, that should be enough for the VA to make a decision. So if the VA is asking their claim and pension examiner to answer a question that has already been answered somewhere else in the file, either by a Nexus opinion or by some other record, that might be developing to deny the claim, and that's considered improper. So what we do when we get one of these appeals is that we take it apart, we see what the claims exams, what the exam requests actually say, we see what the claim and pension exams say, and we see what evidence is in the file to make a determination as to whether or not this is a developing to deny case or whether this is something else. We also take a look at what all the evidence in the file says about the case, and more importantly, was the answer there to begin with? And if so, that might be included in an appeal. Say, hey, listen, VA, this extra medical exam which denied the veteran benefits, that exam wasn't necessary because all of the questions that needed to be answered were already answered. the only way to do that is to really do a deep dive through the claims file and pull out every single claim and pension exam, every single medical record, and study them closely. If you've been denied your VA disability compensation because you've been denied service connection based on what you believe to be unnecessary claims and pension exams, give our office a call by clicking the link in the description of this video. Until next time, thanks and take care.